round 4, the Chiefs went out and they got a safety in Texas A&M, Armani Watts. Still killed it.
You let that man breathe, dog. I'll put that at the beginning of the video, but why you let that man breathe, cuz?
It's all good, it's all good. Because he finally got the first part. Let him mess up the second part.
It's the easy part too, bro. CapitanoGM.com is the website. Capitano General Manager is the YouTube channel. You know it because you're on it. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And also hit the little bell, the notification, so you know when we drop videos, fantasy, draft, you know, whatever it is, it comes to you, whether it be your phone or your computer or whatever it is you're working out of or working on. We're here to talk Kansas City Chiefs draft, man. Draft recap breakdown, man. And so, what's that hashtag?
Chiefs Kingdom.
Chiefs Kingdom.
One of the more popular hashtags out there.
It's new to me.
Oh, okay.
But Chiefs didn't have a first-round pick. Because of last year, who did they go up and scoop last year? Who they
got their quarterback, man?
Patrick Mahomes.
You called him
Mahomes.
Traded away Alex Smith and for who?
Kendall Fuller.
Kendall Fuller from the Redskins made a little deal, and now Mahomes is the guy going to be running the show. And it looks like Kansas City is redoing that defense, man. Second round pick, because they didn't have a first round pick. Second round pick, 46 overall. Breland Speaks, defensive end from Ole Miss, man. What y'all got to say about this guy, man? What's the word, man?
The word. We're going to get to the word. But he played all over the defense in Ole Miss. The tackle, the end, linebacker, you know, versatile guy. Let's get to the word right now. The word is Kansas City's playing him at outside linebacker to start his career, which to me doesn't make much sense. I think he's a 5 technique for these guys. I think that's a role that he eventually play. Allen Bailey's in the last year of his contract, so maybe slide him there with Chris Jones on the other side. I know they drafted Patrick Mahomes, big guy from Villanova last year. They drafted him, and he played outside linebacker. So do Andy Reid has this thing for big outside 280-pound linebackers?
I guess. I don't.
Chiefs Kingdom. Let us know what you guys are doing over there.
What do you think of that in particular? I know D Ford flashed one year. Yeah. Flash really showed his ability to bend the edge, get after the quarterback. Hopefully, Justin Houston, the further remove he gets from his injury, the more he becomes that dominant pass rusher. He always sets the physical edge, but becomes that dominant, game-changing pass rusher that he's certainly capable of.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Justin Houston. That's a baller. Yeah. I don't know about. It seems like a miscast to me. You mentioned off air that Breland Speaks, or rather Ole Miss, has a tendency to play guys out of position. You know what I mean? And Speaks, for his size, I mean, he's about 280, maybe a little bit heavier than that. He's a good athlete. He tested well. He can move around. More of a straight line guy, but he's a pretty good athlete. So he's capable of standing up. But is that really the best place to put him? Now, because of what you have along the down line, that 5 technique with Allen Bailey and Chris Jones, maybe they're just trying to get him on the field. Maybe they just, you know, they like his talent. They're just trying to find a place to put him. But it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So really, you know, we're really asking you guys, Chiefs Kingdom, to kind of clue us in on what it is ultimately what they're trying to do. And what do you think about putting a guy that size out on the edge on a consistent basis? You know, if they move to a 4-3 and they ask him to put his hand on the ground, that's one thing. But to be a stand up, you know, off the ball type of edge rusher, it seems like a little bit of a miscast. That isn't to say that he wasn't able to do it at the collegiate level, but the professional game is different.
Yeah, it was kind of a reach. You know, he was probably around day 3, 3rd round at best prospect, and you know they went and got him in the 2nd round. I think the Chiefs are in a rebuild on this defense. No Derrick Johnson, no Marcus Peters, and some other guys has moved on from that defense. So you know they're trying to get the pieces together. They got Ragland last year, brought in Kitchens this year to solidify their inside linebacker position. So they're trying to get the trenches right, and I think Speaks is going to play in the trenches, man. I don't see him as an outside linebacker.
I tend to agree with that. I don't know ultimately, but to your point, he's a better fit, in my opinion, as a down lineman, as that 5 technique, as that end guy with his hand in the ground. Yeah, I think what they're missing is that edge rusher opposite Justin Houston. You know, Tamba Hali is no longer there. You know what I mean? That's an end of an era. Frankly, that's an end of an era. So getting that bookend, we thought that D Ford would be the guy to assume that role. He struggled with injuries. Maybe in the contract year, you know, he takes his game to another level, perhaps. But it's difficult. It's difficult for me to kind of see and expect Speaks to be a guy who can effectively bend that edge.
This is what happens, and you stated a little bit earlier. Like I said, we talked about it off air. This is what happens when you're on a college team who does too much. You get these 5-star, 4-star athletes. You figure out, okay, this is what we want to do, and you don't necessarily. Not to say that you should build a defense around a particular player, you know, but because you know the kind of athlete you want to go and get in high school, right? But there's too much moving of the pieces, and now, did the Chiefs see something on film that made them think that this guy could play the outside linebacker position?
Like I said, I think he's proven that he's a good athlete.
So because he's an athlete,
right? That can be problematic. You know, just because he has a good straight line speed, does he have the bend? Does he have that ability to get under the because that's one of the knocks that we have on him. He plays a little bit of upright. You know what I mean? Can he get under the pad level of a tackle? Can he dip and not lose speed as he's turning that corner? Those are the questions that I have. So again, this one's a bit puzzling. This for me. I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss on this one, and like I said, hopefully, you know, Chiefs Kingdom can let us know, give us some additional insight on this particular selection.
All right, man. Well, in round 3, they went out and they went to state, man. That's what we're calling it. Florida State defensive tackle Derrick Nandi. How you say it? Nandi. Okay. Well, who the hell is he?
He's a beast, man. This guy is built like a tree trunk, lower body strength, leverage. He's hard to move off the ball in the trenches. This guy's a 2-down player, man. He's your prototypical 2-down player. He could probably get him. He's an underrated pass rusher, but, you know, to me, I think you just put him at nose or the 5 technique. He's versatile enough to do that, but he improves your run game automatically. I think he's going to start right away for the Kansas City Chiefs, and you know, while Speaks is a puzzling pick, I don't think Nandi is puzzling at all. I think we know where he's going to be, and I think he's going to be dominant for the Chiefs.
So you think he pushes out Xavier Williams, who they signed free?
Yeah, he's out of there, man. Oof. Nandi, it's Nandi time.
Ultimately, they're trying to replace Dontari Poe.
Yes.
You know, they did the Benny Logan thing, and they're trying to find that piece. I think Nandi can slide into that just line up over the center and just beat him up all day.
Yeah, man. I think, you know, I just love Nandi's active. He's violent hands. He's just a power player, man. And he's going to overpower. I know his size might think, oh, well, he's only, you know, 300 pounds. Like, how is he going to play in a
But it's the way he's built,
nose?
though.
Yes.
It's the way he's built.
It's
like, to your point. In that recent pantheon of defensive tackles, nose tackles out of FSU, where do you have Nandi? You got Goldman, you got Jernigan, and you have Nandi. Where does he kind of fall in that?
I think Jernigan, and then Nandi, and then Goldman.
Okay.
I think Nandi over Goldman because of he's better against the run, and he has underrated pass rushing moves. So, you know, Nandi is plug and play starter, man, as far as I'm concerned.
Chiefs had another 3rd round pick, 100 overall. They went out and they got Dorian O'Daniel, linebacker Clemson. When I look at this guy, this is a chase down, sideline to sideline. But again, 220 pounds, what is he doing? You went out, you got a Ragland, and you got an Anthony Hitchens. So is he an outside linebacker? Is he a sub-package player? Is this just special teams? Like, again, I'm trying to figure out what are we doing here? Are we inventing a new defense? I don't know. I'm being serious. Like, that's a question. You know, like, and I know we want speed all over the field on the defense, and the new age linebacker, you know, is ranging from that 229 to about the you know, no more than about 280 maybe 40s pushing it, you know, because you want to keep the quickness and the sideline ability, and you know, I'm help me wrap my head around what the Chiefs are doing here.
Yeah, I think it's a common theme throughout the whole draft. We're going to get to another pick later on where we're just kind of puzzled, question mark, what's going on. But I think Dorian O'Daniel, he has to contribute on special teams first and foremost because he doesn't have a path to the starting position with Hitchens and Ragland. Ragland played really well last year for the Chiefs. So, you know, sub packages, passing downs, maybe he can see the field, but you know, special teams is where he's going to make his money.
I tend to agree with that. I think what I kind of foresee, I don't know exactly what it'll look like, obviously, but what I kind of foresee is a lot of guys coming on and off the field defensively for the Chiefs. You mentioned could they be coming up with a new defense? Maybe. I think there's going to be there's so much specialization that's going to be associated with this defense that it's hard to be able to say, okay, they drafted this guy to do X. Based on his size, based on his skill set as kind of a run and chase kind of guy, you expect him to contribute on special teams, as Hali mentioned, and then he could work into some you know, sub packages, you know, obvious passing downs. You may not want Ragland on the field unless he's moving forward as a pass rusher. So you know what I mean. That's kind of what I expect there.
Round 4, Chiefs went out and they got a safety in Texas A&M.
Armani,
like the clothing brand.
There you go.
Watts, like the voltage in a light bulb.
I like that.
All right, man. It's nice, man. Parents are smart. You know, I really, you know, when I went to go watch tape on this guy, I didn't know what I was going to expect. You know, I know my team, the Bucks, drafted Justin Evans. You know, and I figured it may be a similar type player. Yeah, similar type player coming downhill. I think he's a little bit smaller than Justin Evans, but similar type player who can come downhill and this dude just finds the football. I don't know, it's uncanny. I don't know how he does it, but he seems to find the football, whether it be stripping it, whether it be they lost the football somehow, and he's the one who ends up with it, you know, or him to locate the football in the air. You know, he is a downhill safety. You got Eric Berry, who's coming back. You released or let go of Ron Parker, who I liked back in the day.
I always liked Ron Parker, yeah.
And now, so, you know, this guy actually, I think as a 4th-round pick, actually has a shot to actually play as a starter and complement Eric Berry.
Hey, I agree. Armani Watts, I think, he's rare because he has this playmaker gene. You know, not many DBs have this playmaker gene. And he's one of them, man. And like you said, man, he complements Eric Berry very well. I think he's going to start eventually for the Kansas City Chiefs. This guy's a 3-year starter, so he has the experience. And, you know, he flashed on tape, man. I know he was one of your guys, too.
His big, you know, obviously he can come downhill. Sometimes he'll just come in there going crazy and miss tackles. And I don't know if that's a Texas A&M thing where they're teaching those guys. Because, you know, you have 2 back-to-back safeties having trouble with tackling.
You're saying that's an indictment of Kevin Sumlin?
Listen, there's more indictment that needs to go around on that football on that team, but we won't go there. But yeah, I mean, I think that's something that can be corrected very quickly. From a tackling standpoint, I think that's just something. It's a mentality thing. He's willing to come down, lay pads. Just, you know, he just got to do some things right.
Be under a little bit more control.
Yeah, exactly. With no 5th-round pick, they went out in the 6th round. They had 2 6th-round picks. The first one was a cornerback from Central Arkansas, and Tremont Smith.
Playmaker. You know, we talked about Armani Watts has that playmaker gene. This guy did it too, but, you know, at a lower level, smaller school, Central Arkansas. 53 career pass defended, 15 interceptions. He attacks the football, which could be a detriment because he gets greedy at times.
Yeah. Double moves might be a problem here, but he has what you can't teach: the ball skills, the natural playmaking ability, and he has speed to burn. 4.3 guy. You know what I mean? He's just going to have to be a little bit more measured in terms of when he takes those chances. So you're going to love him one snap, and then you're going to hate him the next, you know, until he gets that figured out.
Hey, this is kind of my kind of guy, too. They just traded away Marcus Peters, so maybe they trying to, you know, hit a lick and get a guy similar to Marcus Peters that can come in and start at the outside corner for these guys.
I mean, with the last 2 picks, you can say that they identify players where they want playmakers in those positions in Watts and in Smith. I mean, although he's a 6th-round pick, but he can sit and learn and you know, figure some things out, man.
The way it's been, you know, they've been trying to find that corner opposite Marcus Peters recently. They've struggled with that. They brought Darrell Revis in off the scrap heap. They traded for Fuller. he could be thrust into playing time early. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? You know what I'm saying? If he acquits himself well, he certainly, you know, you can talk about the level of competition, obviously, but he has, again, certain things that you can't teach. That ability to find the football and speed. He's got gas. You know what I'm saying? So he considering what they've gone through in terms of injuries, in terms of you know, poor play in the secondary, he could find his way in that mix.
Steven Nelson, who's there, is on his last year of his contract. So, you know, if this guy shows some flashes, then, you know, he could come in. You know, they got David Emerson also. But like you said, this has been a concern for the Chiefs. Even with Marcus Peters there, been a concern for the Chiefs is their corners.
With the second 6th-round pick, they went out and they got a defensive tackle from Tennessee, Khalil McKenzie. This is Reggie McKenzie's son. But word is that they're going to convert him to an offensive lineman. This is what you call strange. This is what you call I don't know. I'm not sure about this pick. And this is a guy who was a 5-star recruit. Was the #1 player in the country or California?
Yeah, a couple scouting services had him as #1 player in the state of California.
And for whatever reason, I think his biggest issue was that he just wasn't aggressive enough at the point of attack, and so he would lose leverage and just. He's a mountain of a man, and he would get beat by smaller people. So maybe moving him to offense, maybe where, you know, he can be more. I don't know, more of a defensive stance in terms of pass. I don't know. I don't know.
It's interesting. It's interesting because his dad, GM Reggie McKenzie, of, you know, the rival Raiders, has been pushing him to play offensive line. So throughout the draft process, teams that brought him in, they worked him out as an offensive lineman, and ultimately he has been selected to play or develop as an offensive lineman. At this point in the draft, okay, you know, we kind of delved into him. We're trying to see, okay, well, did he play some snaps here or there? I can't confirm that one way or the other. It doesn't appear that way. Let us know if you know otherwise, but we'll see. We'll see. Drew, you mentioned that generally speaking, at least. You know, off the top of our heads, there are more examples of guys going from the offensive line to the defensive line. Whether or not that's substantiated is a whole different question. But because it's so technique driven on the offensive line, it tends to me, it seems more. It seems like an easier transition. Not that it is easy, but an easier transition from go from offensive line to defensive line. You know what I mean? And this really focus on your aggressiveness and leverage.
Yeah.
This is again. There are a lot of question marks in this draft class for the Chiefs. It's another question mark, but he has a pedigree. He has a pedigree. He comes from that family. You know, we talk about the 5-star recruit. Tennessee had a lot of talent come through there. They weren't always put in a position to be successful. We see that a lot at the collegiate level. So we'll see. We'll see what they manage to do.
He's a developmental guy. And you never have too many offensive linemen.
Definitely
one of the most important position group in football, and. You know, he's now going by his real name, Reggie McKenzie. So no more Khalil, he said.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm Reggie McKenzie.
I apologize.
Show him some respect.
You know, when you look at a lot of drafts out there, you know, year to year, every team, there's some sexy in there. There's some splash. There's some crystal in the fridge.
Ric Flair.
Whether it be a little bit or a lot. And I'm looking at this draft, and there isn't.
It's meat and potatoes, man.
It's meat and potatoes, but the sexy was last year.
Yes.
It was getting Patrick Mahomes. And I want to know, the question I'm posing, outside of what y'all doing on defense and these players, where do y'all feel y'all are as a team in terms of this division? Because I had a conversation with a Raider in the comments of the Raider video, draft recap, that, you know, he basically just poo-pooed the Raiders draft, and I'm assuming he was a fan of some team in the division, and I said every team in this division has a fatal flaw. And right now the fatal flaw for me for the Chiefs right now obviously is a defense in work, but is what is Patrick Mahomes? Is he that guy we saw at Texas Tech, or is he?
He better be better than that.
Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of the Chiefs faithful are excited about Mahomes because of his natural playmaking ability. He is worth the price of admission. But there are a lot of concerns, and we've talked about it ad nauseum over the course of the last year or so. There are some substantial concerns that we have. Now, the silver lining is he had an opportunity to sit.
Yes.
He's got a ton of weapons.
Yes.
All right. He's in a quarterback friendly offense. I can't think of a quarterback that just face planted playing for Andy Reid. You know what I mean? I can't think of one. There may be one or two in there, but I can't think of a quarterback that just face planted. And considering his physical gifts, if he can temper some of those turnover worthy throws, they're going to be able to move the football. They're going to be able to move the football. That isn't going to be an issue. To your point, defensively, you know, they can't. I don't think they're going to be able to overcome Patrick Mahomes if he turns the ball over a couple of times. If he fumbles because he's waiting too long to make a play, he doesn't take that check down or throw it away. So he's going to have to play a little over his head. Despite all the talent and all the physical gifts that he has, I think he's going to have to play more like a veteran and not just put points up, but there are going to be times where he just needs to manage the game.
Yeah.
And because of that playmaker gene, and you don't necessarily want to coach that out of anybody. Is he willing to do that? Is he willing to throw a changeup as opposed to a fastball? You know what I'm saying? That's my biggest question with Mahomes.
Yeah, and you know, you guys touched on it earlier. You know, the defense is going through a transition right now. So
no Derrick Johnson, no Marcus Peters, no Tamba Hali. It's a very, and you got a lot of guys in the last year of their contracts.
So that means that they're going to need Mahomes to play really good this season, and he doesn't have any shortage of weapons.
No,
Think Kareem Hunt, Travis Kelce. They just got Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill. They have a plethora of weapons, and I agree with you, man. It's not turning the football over, man. Manage the game. They just traded away the ultimate game manager in Alex Smith, which probably would have been maybe a little better for this team.
Yeah.
But Mahomes has that upside that maybe he could carry this team in spite of their defense.
Sure. And that is certainly what a lot of people think. I mean, clearly that the investment that they made is the reason why they've gone in this direction, why they decided, you know what, we can move on from Alex Smith. Alex Smith has taken us as far as we can go. Yeah. You know, he's good enough to get us a first or second round exit in the playoffs. That's Alex Smith. And this is what, year 12, year 11, year 12, Alex Smith. This is year 2 Mahomes. I would caution folks to have an expectation year 1 starting at this level. All right, this is a long way from the Big 12. This is a long way from the Big 12, and there's some good pass rushing teams in this division. You know what I mean? I think Mahomes just needs to get the ball to his playmakers. Just get the ball to. It doesn't have to be a home run. There are going to be opportunities for that. Yeah. And we saw when Alex Smith started to actually pull the trigger, they were successful. I mean, Tyreek Hill, there's nobody who can run with Tyreek Hill. You know, assuming the way they've been talking about moving Sammy around the formation, Sammy's going to be a problem. You know what Travis Kelce brings to the table. You're getting Spencer Ware back. Kareem Hunt led the league in rushing last year. There's going to be times when Mahomes needs to go for the jugular. There are going to be times when he needs to check it down. He has to be able to distinguish those. If he can distinguish those, they're gonna have chances. They're gonna be in games. Whether or not ultimately the defense can hang on is a question mark.
All right, there you have it, man. That's the Chiefs draft breakdown. You know, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We want to talk, we want to interact, we want to discuss, we want to converse, we want to conversate with you, man. That's what we're about here. A lot of folks out there don't, you know, they don't want to chop it up with you. They want to drop their article, they want to say their spiel, and they want to roll out, man. They don't want to discuss anything. We're all about it, man. Whether you hate us, you like us, you love us, be in the comments section. CPGM.com. Haters in the building. CouchPotatoGM.com is the website. Couch Potato General Manager is the YouTube channel. You know it because you're on it. So do me a favor, stop what you're doing, pause, take a second, hit that subscribe button.
Yo, what's the other thing you said to do? The
notification?
There you go.
Oh, can I do that too?
I don't know, you told it.
Yeah, hit the notification button, man. Yeah. You heard him. Hit the notification button so you know when videos come up. Reset?
No, it was good.
Yeah, I just remembered the notification. I said subscribe.
Yeah.
So subscribe and
hit the notification button, the little bell.
Yeah.
Make sure it's I don't know what color
you don't
it
miss
turns.
nothing.
You know what color it turns? I don't know what color it turns, but whatever. Just subscribe.
I don't deal with colors, bro.
Oh, you don't?
Hues. I deal with hues, bro.
I like hues.
That's deep.
I don't know what that means. But we're doing the Kansas City draft recap breakdown.
Hashtag Chiefs Kingdom. I heard you guys are, you know, rabid fan base. So Yeah.
Okay, let's start all that shit over.
We going for the top?